Just a couple of quick thoughts here this morning. I noticed our verse of the day is the one of the verses from the Beatitudes, and the Beatitudes are a very interesting couple of verses. It is the beginning of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount in Matthew chapter 5, and this is the first really public sermon of Christ as he is beginning his earthly ministry, and just a lot of things happen within the Sermon on the Mount, but really what you're looking at is a re-education of the people, largely religious people, faithful Jews, but Christ is having to teach them what they have either forgotten or in some cases what has never been revealed to them. And so the Beatitudes is really the beginning steps of that re-education, and specifically what you see and why it's important at the beginning of this first public sermon is he's describing things that people would not typically think of as being good or being a blessing. For instance, blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. These are things that the average person would not think of as blessing. You know, just going back to what we've been talking about in Hosea the past couple of weeks, when we think of blessing, we think of health, wealth, prosperity, the good things in life, being comfortable, being safe. Those are blessings from God, and they certainly still are, but we often don't think of the hardships that we go through or even some of the sorrows that we go through as being a blessing from God. And so Jesus is really re-educating us in the Sermon on the Mount, and he's beginning that re-education with the Beatitudes and this understanding of blessing and what it means to be blessed. And for us, especially in such a time where things are unsure, things are maybe incomplete in the way in which we would hope to accomplish our goals, or the way in which we would hope that our world would work together and show that brotherly love that the Bible would encourage us to have for one another. We don't see it, and we think of this as a hardship and something that we have to endure. We certainly don't think of it as the possibility for blessing, the possibility that we could in fact use this in some way to benefit the kingdom of God. And it's very important for us as we progress through culture, as generation upon generation is born and lives, and things change, and we bring up the next generation. It's important for us to realize that God's blessing is not just found in the health, the wealth, prosperity, all of these things that we seek after as part of our life. God's blessing is also found in the struggle. God's blessing is also found in the uncertainty that our own abilities naturally come with. We're not going to be all powerful. We're not going to be all knowing. We're not going to have a sure answer about everything from day to day or even from hour to hour. And so to know and to have this, ultimately what this is an encouragement from Christ in the Beatitudes, to have this encouragement that even though we don't have all the money, even though we even don't have all the assurance, and maybe even we don't have the faith that we should, blessed are the poor in spirit. It is a source of encouragement for us that we don't have to rely solely on our own ability, because our own ability is going to falter and fail, and we're not going to have those answers at all times. And so as we're thinking about the struggles of life, as we're thinking about the uncertainty of the world today, take some time, maybe over the course of the next couple of days this week, read the Beatitudes, reread the Beatitudes. Think of them as a setup to the Sermon on the Mount, where Christ is giving us this re-education and helping us to understand exactly what it is to serve the kingdom of God, not just to think in terms of our own life or the struggles and the successes that are going on just in our own families and communities, but but to think largely in terms of the kingdom of God. That we can go through struggle, that we can go through sorrow, that we can not have everything work out exactly as we planned, and still at the same time we can say that we are blessed by God. This can be true of our families, our children, our marriages. This can be true of our occupation and our work life. Just because everything doesn't go exactly how we planned, we can still glorify God, we can still serve the kingdom of God, and yes, we are still blessed by God because He sent His Son Jesus Christ to die for us, because there is more to what He looks at in us than our own health, wealth, success, prosperity. There is an obedience, there's a commitment, there is a desire to love and to serve God. And so if you're finding yourself poor in spirit, if you're finding yourself hungering and thirsting for righteousness, if you're finding yourself persecuted for the sake of the gospel, just know that in this hardship, it's not that God has forgotten us, but in fact, we are blessed. And so read that over today, reread it over the next couple of days, and just let that continual re-education of who God is and who we are, let that just permeate your life. Let it overshadow you, overshadow any hardship or struggle or worry that you might have, and just know that you are a child of God and you are blessed. Thanks, guys. See you next week.